The Super Bowl is known for championships, commercials, and moments that stop the room. But this year, one of the biggest surprises had nothing to do with football. During the 2026 Super Bowl, a surprise teaser aired that immediately sent film fans into a frenzy. A sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is officially happening, and it's arriving in a way almost no one saw coming. The new film is titled The Adventures of Cliff Booth. And yes, it's real. The teaser confirmed that Brad Pitt is returning as Cliff Booth, the character that earned him an Academy Award in Quentin Tarantino's original film. But this time, there's a major shift behind the camera. The sequel is being directed by David Fincher, marking an unexpected but fascinating creative pairing. The film is also headed straight to Netflix, signaling a significant moment not just for the franchise, but for prestige cinema in the streaming era. The original Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wasn't built like a traditional blockbuster. It was slow, reflective, and deeply nostalgic, a love letter to late 1960s Hollywood, filtered through Tarantino's trademark revisionist lens. Cliff Booth wasn't the loudest character in that world, but he was arguably the most magnetic, calm, capable, dangerous without advertising it. That's exactly why the sequel exists. The Adventures of Cliff Booth shifts the focus entirely onto the character who lived mostly in the margins of the first film. The teaser hints that the story moves into the late 1970s, a Hollywood that's darker, rougher, and more disillusioned than the sun soaked fantasy of the original. Cliff Booth is older now. The industry has changed, and the world that once tolerated men like him is beginning to disappear. David Fincher's involvement is what truly changes the equation. Fincher is known for precision, restraint, and psychological tension. His films are controlled, meticulous, and often unsettling in quiet ways. Pairing that sensibility with Cliff Booth suggests a very different tone: less nostalgia, more introspection, less myth making, more consequence. This is not a Tarantino sequel in the traditional sense. While Quentin Tarantino reportedly wrote the screenplay, Fincher's direction implies a reinterpretation rather than imitation. Cliff Booth isn't being revisited for fan service, he's being examined. The teaser itself is brief, atmospheric, and deliberately vague. There are no big action beats, no monologues, just fragments, a look, a line, a sense that Cliff Booth has lived a life off screen, and now we're catching up to him at a moment when the past no longer protects him. That restraint feels intentional. The Super Bowl placement wasn't about spectacle, it was about reach. Dropping a teaser like this during the most watched broadcast of the year ensures conversation without revealing too much. It trusts the audience to lean in rather than be overwhelmed. And the reaction proved that trust was earned. Within minutes, social media lit up. Not because people expected this sequel, but because they didn't. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood always felt like a standalone, a mood piece rather than a franchise starter. Revisiting it through Cliff Booth reframes the original instead of repeating it. It also speaks to a broader shift in how sequels are conceived. This isn't about continuing a plot, it's about continuing a character, about asking what happens to men built for a world that no longer exists. That question fits Cliff Booth perfectly, and it fits Fincher's sensibilities even better. The Netflix release is also part of the story. Streaming platforms have been chasing legitimacy for years. A film like this, built around an Oscar winning performance written by Tarantino, directed by Fincher, and teased during the Super Bowl, blurs the line between theatrical prestige and streaming dominance. This isn't a compromise, it's a statement. The Adventures of Cliff Booth isn't positioned as a nostalgia trip, it's positioned as a character study, one that understands the weight of the original film while refusing to live inside it. The Super Bowl teaser didn't answer many questions. It wasn't supposed to. It did something more effective. It reminded people that some characters linger long after the credits roll. Cliff Booth was one of them. And now, instead of fading into Hollywood myth, he's stepping back into the spotlight under a different lens in a different era with a different set of rules. The fact that this announcement came during the Super Bowl only underscores how confident the creators are. They didn't need to explain themselves, they just needed to let the idea exist. And it worked, because in a night full of noise, one quiet teaser managed to steal the conversation. Sometimes that's the most Hollywood move of all.